Hey, what's up, guys? Before you get into this episode 0 of the Minty Mobile Games podcast, I wanted to give you a heads up. I was using my Elgato streaming mic. It's very high quality, very, very good. And I was using some new settings while recording my voice with this, and it picked up every time that I would take a breath, and it was very noticeable. So I apologize for that. I hope you guys still enjoy it. I didn't want to re-record it because it would feel faker or like fake to me. I wanted it to be very, very raw and real and just not super structured, at least for episode 0. So just giving you guys a heads up. I'm sorry if it gets annoying to hear me like go like between every sentence or two, but I think it's still a good discussion, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it and hear why I'm making this podcast and bringing it back. So I love you guys. Now you can listen to the podcast. Love you. Hey, what's up, guys? Minty here, back again with another video, and today I am bringing you the Minty Mobile Games podcast once again. Now, those of you who may be new to the channel or didn't know, I have started up this podcast twice before this, and then I would upload for about 2 to 3 months, like every 2 weeks, just giving a podcast of mobile gaming news, my impressions of certain games, what I'm enjoying, and then sales and stuff like that. And I would kind of teeter off and stop uploading this podcast after about 2 to 3 months. And I think that's because I was really into creating other mobile gaming content for you guys and like keeping up with the new games coming out and stuff. So that really keeps me really busy. But this time, this is the third and final try, the final iteration. I'm going to be putting in a significant amount of effort in lining up guests and appearances and people to chat with on Discord that you guys can listen in to these discussions of people who are very familiar with mobile games, developers, other gaming content creators, and I already have 2 people lined up for future uploads. I will keep you guys updated on that in the future. But today's podcast is just going to be very casual. I want this podcast to feel like a discussion that you're kind of listening in and almost participating in. Just very casual, discussion based. You kind of throw it on in the background or during a commute, and you get to just tune out for a bit and be slightly entertained, or at least that's the goal. Now that you guys know, just let me know any feedback about this podcast in general or what you'd like to see in the comment section down below, as well as any of your thoughts and opinions on anything that I talk about in this podcast. That's one of the most important things to me, especially when it comes to podcasts, is hearing your guys' feedback and thoughts and making it a really cool discussion and kind of like a community surrounding the subjects that I discuss. Now that the long-winded, super raw and uncut intro and ramble is done, let's get right into it. Now, first up on the docket, so to speak, I want to talk about Star Wars Hunters. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Star Wars Hunters, this is a 4v4 arena shooter, kind of in the vein of Overwatch, if you guys are familiar with that. So this obviously has the Star Wars license. It's a little bit lighthearted, cartoony, kind of geared towards a younger audience, at least with its looks and visuals, but the 4v4 arena aspect seems pretty deep and satisfying to play. Now, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, for anyone who may not know, so I'm very excited for this, and I want to support it very much so because this is completely cross-platform, and it is releasing on other platforms as far as I know. I know for sure it's releasing on the Switch, but I'm pretty sure it's releasing on other platforms too, and I love supporting this sort of thing. This is why I loved Fortnite Mobile back in the day before it got removed, because it was the exact same game with no concessions on mobile, and it was exactly the same as other platforms, except you have the portability of an iPad or an iPhone, and you have the option to connect a controller or a peripheral, or just use the touchscreen. So I am really excited for this, and it looks very fun. They released the gameplay trailer recently. They had teased it a couple months before, but now the gameplay trailer made me even more excited for it. It looks like they're using the license to a good degree and doing it justice. And I was personally, as a mega Star Wars fan, I was very disappointed with the most recent 3 films, but the games have been smacking lately. I loved the reboot of Rogue Squadron. I loved Fallen Order. I think that's one of the best single player Star Wars games in recent memory. And this one looks to be at least fun. You guys know me and my mobile gaming multiplayer games. That's a majority of what I play is multiplayer games on any platform, especially mobile. So I'm excited for that. Go check out that trailer if you guys are also a Star Wars fan or wanting to support a cross-platform game on mobile that is exactly the same as other platforms. But I wanted to mention that. And on a side note, EA does not have a monopoly on making Star Wars video games anymore. Their contract expired, so just be on the lookout for new announcements for new Star Wars games on any platforms, and I'm excited to see what they bring to mobile. I hope some developers and gaming companies use the Star Wars license right. Now, on another note, I finished Fantasian. Now, I finally got around to playing Fantasian. I actually poured a freak ton of time into it. It's a very long JRPG with a great story, great sound design. Like, it's just solid through and through. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, so to speak, of the JRPG franchise, or genre. But this is by the maker of the Final Fantasy series, as well as its composer. The composer actually made the soundtrack as well. So there's some big names, some big talent behind the creation of Fantasian, and it really shows, and it really does set itself apart. This is a quality experience, and I haven't gotten lost in a JRPG like this in a long time, or a single player game period. So I was very impressed, and I think this is as close to a subscription seller as Apple Arcades has. I think if they brought this quality of game consistently, Apple Arcade would be in a completely different ballpark than it is now. It came out guns blazing, and now it's down to a trickle. They are doing a good job of adding value to the subscription service by adding in classic indie games or classic mobile games that were already available on the App Store, but now they're free for Apple Arcade subscription users. So that's great, but there's not really subscription sellers. I don't think there's a lot of reason to go out of your way to play games on Apple Arcade yet, other than Fantasian and maybe another handful of games. So I'm interested to know your guys' thoughts about this. I've talked about it a little bit before in my Netflix gaming service video. If you guys haven't checked that out, definitely go watch that and see what I think about Netflix's new gaming service that actually released on mobile recently. But yeah, there's a couple of my thoughts about Fantasian as well as Apple Arcade. Now, I am wrapping up the finishing touches of my top 10 mobile games of 2021 video, which I consider to be the most important video of every year. And I am really, really excited to share with you guys that video. It's taken me quite a bit of time to get the gameplay of it, like re-downloading some of these games that I may not have on my phone because I finished them or whatever, and then playing through, getting the right video capture for the game overall so that you guys can get like the essence of the game in a short 30 to 60 second piece or explanation of what it is. But I'm very excited to share you guys with that, share with you guys the games that I have in that. And again, if you guys have any guesses to what mobile games will appear on that video, please put them in the comment section down below, as well as let me know what your guys' favorite games of this year have been. It's honestly been a great year. And it made me reflect on previous years of like, I actually made two old lists of like 2017 and 2018, I think, of mobile gaming. And it was interesting to go reflect back on that and see how far mobile gaming as a whole has come. When you're in the mobile gaming space so deeply as I am, it's very interesting to actually reflect back a couple years instead of just like a couple months. And you truly get to see how drastically mobile gaming has changed, because I didn't really notice it because I've just been so thick in it that it's hard to notice the day by day changes. But it's amazing how far mobile gaming has come when it comes to the power of mobile devices, how much developers have figured out the mobile platform as a whole, as well as how much they still need to figure out about mobile gaming as a whole. But it kind of brought me to the thought, is mobile gaming going to cease to exist in the next 5 to 10 years? And that sounds pretty drastic, especially with its popularity now. But what I mean by that is, I think mobile gaming is just going to turn into, if you guys are familiar with the Xbox Games Pass, that service is very interesting to me because it's got a cloud gaming service that you can play on your iPad or any mobile device that you have. and you just get to stream any game from the service that supports that to your mobile device, and you can just use a console controller to do so. And it works incredibly well for single player games. Multiplayer games, there's some definite input lag and lag to things in general for that. But as internet connection speeds quicken and fast internet becomes more readily available to people across the country, I think this is the future of what gaming is going to turn into. As platforms are not going to be as important. It's not going to matter if you're on an Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. You're just going to be able to play anything on anything, if that makes sense. So that's what I meant by, mobile gaming is trending. Like, I think there will always be some sort of niche or demand for simple games, those simple addicting high score chasers, or those games that you whip out for 1 to 2 minutes at a time on your phone. So I don't think those are necessarily ever going to go away, but I think mobile gaming is going to just turn into gaming on other platforms. I think mobile gaming still needs to break that stereotype of having really low effort, money, monetization, greedy games, if you know what I'm saying. And it's just a shame that we are still sitting here in 2021 trying to get rid of that stereotype, when now mobile is a platform that's more powerful than the Switch. And the Switch has so many quality indie games and AA games, AAA games on the system. But here we are with mobile, and it's more powerful than the Switch, yet developers aren't focusing on it yet. And it's because the audience hasn't modernized and realized, hey, I can pay a premium price for a premium game on mobile, just like I do on other platforms. And so I'm just wondering how that's ever going to come about, because still mobile gaming, what I love about it right now, but I don't think it's necessarily right, is that games on mobile are so much cheaper than other platforms. It's just very interesting. You get the same exact experience in most instances for a game that is available on other platforms, but for a fraction of the price. And that's one of the strengths of mobile gaming. But I think to get rid of the stereotype of mobile being a cheaper experience, like figuratively, it needs to shirk some of these things, such as having cheaper prices. But it's just interesting to think. I'm also interested to know about a lot of interested and interesting words here. But I'm very, very curious to know what you guys think about this as well. But yeah, those are just some of my ramblings and thoughts and things that I've been thinking about in the mobile gaming space specifically as of late. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to listen to. If you guys want me to make a sales video or podcast about the holiday sales that are coming up this coming week or towards the end of December. There's always tons of sales during Christmas, as with gaming in general. But if you guys want me to touch on some of the games that I think are must buys, or definitely games to check out and look up and see if it's worth your time and money, let me know, because I have been keeping track of some of the sales as of recently, and I can whip up a short podcast or a video for those in the future. So let me know. Again, a lot of things to ask you guys in the comment section down below if you guys would be interested in that as well. But I think I've pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to do in episode 0. And I'm calling this episode 0 because this is going to be a lot more casual, more of an introduction and a ramble. But it will be a little bit more structured in future episodes. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about what's going to be going on, and letting you guys know that I'm going to take this seriously. So please, please, please be vocal about what you think about the podcast. Because if I'm going to put in a lot of effort, I want it to pay off in the long run for at least a core group. I don't need it to be popular. I just want to know that it's well received and people value it. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts. Please let me know if this was entertaining whatsoever. It's going to be on the shorter side, probably around, let's see what time it is, 13 minutes. So longer than my normal videos, but shorter than a podcast. I feel like podcasts should be at least 30 minutes. But with guests, that usually goes by a lot faster. So yeah. Any ideas for me? Let me know. Pop a sub, pop a like, pop a comment. Really helps out the channel in growing. We'll be hitting 2K soon, I hope. I'm excited. The growth is still happening slowly but surely, even though I'm not uploading as consistently. But that's because I'm trying to up the quality of my content instead of the daily uploads. So hopefully you guys can tell that.
I love you all. Seriously, every single one of you who watches, clicks on every video. You have no idea how grateful I am for each view and each like and each comment, especially. It's been a pleasure getting to know some of you, and you know who you are. And thank you for DMing me questions and making me feel important in the mobile gaming space. I definitely don't deserve it, but it's very humbling, and I love you all. I hope you guys are having a happy holidays. I might upload one more podcast at the end of this year. We'll see. But stay tuned for that top 10 mobile games of 2021 video. All right, I'm done rambling. I'm done with my verbal vomit. Let's wrap this up. I love you guys. Take it easy.